I want to talk a little bit about the cover of this and happy accidents. And so, like, for whatever reason, I've had this weird fucking thing in my brain where I've been wanting to spell schizo with a H. It's schizo, but or with a T. I'm sorry. Bleh. I've been wanting to put a fucking T in there. I've just been wanting to do that, and then I have to correct myself. Wait, that's not. Then I thought about it. I'm like, I'm gonna leave it. You know why I'm gonna leave it? Because it says so much. C hit Zo. If you take Zo and reverse it, you got Oz. You know, like Wizard of Oz. Schizo survival. Let's look at this a little bit. Some of this really is, you know, like how are we being programmed? And this is like a great example of the fucking programming of the past. And the possibility that is still continuing in some form or fashion, as you see the paper clips here, that is representational of like Project Paperclip. The Watt here, the reason I spelled it Watt would be, well, I'll show you. What does it mean to be? It basically means you're really overstimulated because you are able to perceive of more. This is a tesseract, and I feel like the tesseract is an amazing fucking analogy for reality and stuff because you have your own personal field, your little box, and then all these other things influencing you, and your field is influenced by that. So if you look at a tesseract animated, it's shifting and moving like a kaleidoscope and stuff, and I think that's something like what we experience. And then depending on what we have in our surroundings, we can end up feeling like this, right? And we're told to believe that we're fucking insane because of it. But it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Okay? And there are many things that make our society fucked up. Let's look at drugs, for example. There are meth heads and there are math heads. You know, it's kind of like the same results, different path. We need to be a little bit more conscious of that, you know? Because the other thing is a lot of people who have drug issues and all that, they probably had psych issues first. And what are psych issues exactly? What's the angle here? We gotta look at things. We have this polarized societal thing going on, like Eastern, Western, you know, when it comes to like Western medicine and Eastern medicine and all this other stuff. And we seem to just want to like, this is a good example of it. Basically, this is what we're doing. We keep trying to dissect things and shit. We're not like seeing forcefully. And then we just cause more pain. And it's supposed to be like a pretty thing, but we can loop into a spiral that sucks. Because we just have to like sawzall, you know. Milwaukee, by the way. Milwaukee Tools. MK Ultra. Project Paperclip. Project Paperclip is where they brought all of, not all of them, I'm sure, but a bunch of like Nazi scientists into the U.S. and sheltered them. And you know, you think about the Midwest, you know, that's probably a good place to do that. You know, that's Ganesha. He's thinking about pi and quantum mechanics. And so anyway, yeah. So math is the language of God, but you know, like we don't have a solid foundation. How are we gonna understand that? And our foundation right now is bullshit. It doesn't add up. It's fucking death and taxes. And we're on this fucking roller coaster, you know. The roller coaster is bullshit. It's like a centipede, and these are all little skeletons and cardboard boxes that are just duct taped to it. Because that's basically like what life can be. And what you learn through it is to laugh at it. And sometimes that laughter might sound deranged, you know, but like depends. You can laugh, you cry. Oh, ow, Notice the inversion mirroring aspect of ow and om. And that's where the laughter comes in. I had this voice say in my head, "What have you learned?" And that's basically what kind of came to me. And it was basically like focus. Found an acronym that I absolutely fucking love, and it's fuck off because you're stupid. Focus. You gotta like narrow your focus on what's important. sometimes you gotta see through the veil to do that. You know, that's a fox. That's an interesting archetype too. Did you know that, like, these are extra data points you can look at, and this is some of the shit that will make you feel like you're going insane if you read too much into it. But like, FOX is 666 in numerology. Isn't that interesting? Anyways, we got non-locality here. Non-local IT. Non-local IT. Not dissing on local things or anything. This is more the point of being, like the point of the wave, you know. But the fact is, you know. Anyways, the Fool. Now the Fool, everybody looks at the Fool like they're an idiot, right? Like at first glance, they're like, dude, gonna walk off a cliff? That's stupid. What you doing, bro? Like, that's not good. And look at the dog there. He's like, no, man, that's a terrible idea. Fool's just like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. But the reason for that is there is that. You pour it out, and you have the potential to become anything and anyone. It's a shift in perspective of who you are. And you can let go of one perspective. It doesn't necessarily have to be as dramatic as this. Sometimes we need the drama to really give us the picture of what we need, you know, like. So, and sometimes, you know, on another level, consider like the Fool at first glance might be like leaping off a cliff, but you don't really know what's pictured below the cliff, or you don't know what's behind the Fool. So, like, that's another thing that's worth considering. And this is kind of representational of that. This is our society here. This is like, this is a jackalope shitting Easter eggs. This is basically like, it's not really shitting Easter eggs. It's, you know, it's doing what they do, but it's basically trafficking, and it's the prostitution of the feminine. It's taking things and kind of bastardizing natural processes and sacredness and turning it into a caricature of what it actually is, and all this being witnessed by everything in existence. And then you have the grapes of wrath. In this picture, I was inspired when I was living on Maui, because I'm looking at, you know, all these cars everywhere and all these birds shitting on the cars, and I was like, you know, this is like really does speak to Maui. It's like this most natural, pristine fucking beauty everywhere, yet then here we are shitting on it. That's really what we're doing, you know, and so it's kind of like nature saying, hey, we can do that too, you know? So, like, that's kind of what this is. And then there's the idea of nothing's for free. When we could have so much abundance if we got our shit together in a good way. Compost, hey, you know? But some things don't really compost so good. So, this speaks to this trafficking and selling and buying and what we prioritize in life, what's important to us, and all of this shit we prioritize isn't gonna mean a goddamn thing if we don't have a planet we can put it on, no, will it? No, it won't. I want to point out here too that our struggle is because I'm just as much of a hypocrite. I do plenty of shit that is not good for the planet, like, and I have definitely taken steps and gotten a lot better about it, but I see where I can improve in many ways. So I just want to throw that out there before you come for me. I'm coming for myself. Like, anyway, this here kind of represents that spirit of nature being like, it's almost playful about it because we've gotten so stuck in our egos. We're so fucking arrogant because we have thumbs and we can do shit. Thumbs. What if we're mistaken, you know, and we might regret it. You know, we forsake the magic when we do that. We forsake everything else at the expense of it. And I'm not saying that materialism and tangible things are bad. I'm just saying balance. And you got to remember the magic, you know. It's like, but to do that, it requires honoring all of it, you know. It's like, this painting this is called White Trash Egrets. And the reason I'm calling it White Trash Egrets is because I'm a tattoo artist, right? And so within the tattoo community, there's this art style called trash polka, and it's usually when you're kind of like putting some filler stuff, you want to make something look cool, you're not really sure what to do with it. So it's like, but I was painting these egrets, and like, then I was like, I'll just throw some trash polka around it, and that'll make it look nice, and like, and it actually turned out pretty darn cool. I threw some flowers in there and sun and bam, And I feel like this really speaks to, like trash can be treasure. Fuck, like we throw and waste so much shit, but some of it's really good shit. So we just gotta remember that. This here speaks to priorities and like, a possible alternative path and option. Like I always had this like vision in my head of like how cool it would be if our society could live like the elves did or were said to in the myths, where they're like so at one with nature that like they're living in trees and stuff, and because of that they have a stability and a harmony, whereas like our structures like this and our egos, it's not stable foundations, and it's like if we were being more mindful too, all of it, we would be stronger too. We'd access more, would be more, but we're caught in this loop. And then we come to the last one. And this is really interesting because it was kind of started out with just a picture in the background, and then I got commissioned to do an interesting thing, and this is just a sketch for it, but I felt like, if I'm being honest, there was this request to do, there was a question of should it be called Village of Truth or Village of Dreams? And I was like, how about Village of Truth and Dreams? And I didn't end up using the art for it. And I like trying not to waste things and stuff, so I was like, what can I do with this thing? And I decided I've been doing this collage art, since the beginning of the year. And so why not just continue on that? And this fit perfectly within there, and it speaks to the metaphor of society and stuff, like there's this image I saw one time that really like spoke to me, and it was like this turtle, and it was like had this whole like city kind of magical thing on its back, and so like that was kind of what inspired that. But then like the turtle represents truth, and the thing about something like this is that turtle can go underwater. What's on the shell, like if it's hanging out, floating around up top for a while, and your only option is air. That's one thing. But if that city on top doesn't know how to breathe water when the turtle decides to go for a swim, and it's turtle tears, where the tears echo all over the place. But I think it becomes an unbalance. Maybe when the turtle just feels so gross that he's wash off the barnacles, which reminds me. Anyways, you guys, I thank you for hearing me if you listen this far. So yeah. Anyway, if you aren't being true to your ideals and stuff, there is a risk, So like if it becomes Village of Tears rather than Truth, or it becomes Village of Trite, a pit. I was looking at this because this was tripping me out. That's why I'm rattling all these off, because I got inspired to put this on there, but the whole thing didn't fit. Is what I'm getting at. I couldn't make the whole thing fit the picture as it was, so I had to like cut this part out. And then as I was looking at it, it was all stringy, and I'm like, I've had this dragon thing going on for a while here, and like, what if I put that in there? And then as I was like kind of like folding it up to turn it into a dragon, I just kind of happened to notice, this synchronicity, liar and truth, and I just thought that was interesting. Because that is ultimately what this whole little project has been about. How are we lying to ourselves? Or how are we being lied to? Sometimes we don't know what's going on. So that's sorry, I have a mosquito that's like really aggressively bothering me. Anyway, okay.